Chelsea are at a crossroads, and this weekend could tell us everything. Let me ask you something straight away. When was the last time you watched Chelsea play and felt like everything was clicking into place, like the pieces were finally fitting together the way they should? If you are a regular follower of this club, you know that feeling has been rare. It comes and goes. There are moments where you sit up and think, yes, this is something special, and then there are weeks where you scratch your head and wonder what is actually happening at Stamford Bridge. Well, this week gave us plenty to talk about, not just one topic, but several, from a big FA Cup quarter-final coming up against Port Vale, to a former manager talking up one of their wingers in a big way, to a potential transfer that could make their best striker even better. So let us get into all of it together. Pull up a chair. This is going to be a good one. The FA Cup quarter-final against Port Vale and why it actually matters. Before we get into the tactics and the team selection, let us take a moment to appreciate what the FA Cup means. Yes, Port Vale are a League One club. Yes, on paper, Chelsea should win this game without too much trouble. Yes, Liam Rosenior is expected to rotate the squad heavily, which means some of the big names will be watching from the sidelines. But here's the thing. The FA Cup quarterfinal is not nothing. This is the last 8 in one of the oldest cup competitions in the world. You win this and you are in the semi-final at Wembley. You win the semi-final and you are playing for a trophy. And trophies matter especially for a club that has gone through so much change in recent years and is still trying to figure out exactly who they are. So do not let the fact that it is Port Vale fool you. Rosenior knows that a banana skin in this round would be a disaster for the mood around the club. Getting to Wembley and winning silverware would do wonders for confidence going into the final stretch of the season. That is why the team selection on Saturday evening is actually really interesting. Rosenior is expected to make 7 changes to the side, which tells you 2 things. First, he trusts his squad depth. Second, he sees this as a chance to give some players a stage to perform on. So let us go through the potential lineup and talk about what each selection means. Robert Sanchez in goal. With Philip Jorgensen out for the foreseeable future after having surgery on a groin injury, Robert Sanchez is expected to continue in goal. This is actually a big deal for Sanchez. He has had a mixed time at Chelsea, and there have been question marks over whether he is truly the long-term number 1 at the club. Keeping his place during this period gives him a real chance to make a statement. The question for you is this. Do you think Sanchez has done enough to earn the trust of Chelsea supporters, or is there still something missing from his game? Josh Acheampong getting a rare chance. Now here is one that should really excite people. Josh Acheampong is 19 years old. He has only appeared 9 times in all competitions since Rosenior took over almost 3 months ago, which is not a huge amount of football for a young player at this stage of the season. But with Malo Gusto only just back from international duty with France and Reece still injured, Rosenior might look at this game as the perfect opportunity to give the teenager some minutes at right back. Think about that for a second. A 19-year-old playing in a FA Cup quarterfinal at Stamford Bridge. That is a massive moment. That is the kind of experience that shapes a career. Acheampong is someone who a lot of Chelsea fans have been excited about for a while. He is quick, he is energetic, and he has that raw quality that you cannot really teach. The question is whether he can handle the occasion and show Rosenior that he deserves more regular football. This is your chance to watch him and make up your own mind. Fofana and Badiashile at the back. Wesley Fofana was not called up by the French national team during the international break, which means he has had a couple of weeks to rest and prepare at Cobham. He is expected to partner his compatriot Benoit Badiashile in the center of defense. These two have played together before, and there is a familiarity between them that should help. Fofana, when he is on form, is one of the better center backs in the Premier League. His reading of the game and his ability to step into tackles cleanly is something Chelsea need to see more consistently. Badiashile is a player who divides opinion among Chelsea supporters. Some feel he has not done enough to justify his place. Others believe he is still developing and needs more regular football to reach his potential. What do you think about Badiashile at Chelsea? Has he done enough, or is it time to move on in the summer? Jorrel Hato. At left back, this is another interesting one. With the Marc Cucurella situation still being discussed and his long-term future at the club feeling uncertain, Jorrel Hato could get an opportunity at left back on Saturday. Hato is a young player who has caught the eye when given chances. He is composed on the ball and good going forward, which is exactly what Chelsea want from their full-backs in this system. The left-back position has been an area where Rosenior has wanted pace and creativity, and Hato can offer both of those things. At the same time, this is a big stage for someone still finding his feet at the top level. Cup football can be unpredictable, and even against League One opposition, you have to concentrate for 90 minutes. Would you give Hato the start here? And do you think he could push for more regular football in the weeks ahead? Lavia and Asugo. In midfield, Romeo Lavia and Dario Asugo have both been working at Cobham for the past couple of weeks while other players were away on international duty. That extra preparation time could actually work in their favor on Saturday. Lavia is a player that Chelsea paid a significant amount of money for and who has had injury problems slow him down since his arrival. Every time he gets a run of games, it feels like something interrupts it. But when he is fit and playing, you can see exactly why Chelsea wanted him. He is composed, he reads the game well, and he brings a calmness to the midfield that this team sometimes lacks. Esugo is less well known, but he has been quietly impressive when given opportunities. Pairing these two together as the base of the midfield is not something we have seen a huge amount of, but it makes sense in this context. They are both technically good and should be able to control a game against League One opposition. The bigger question is whether this midfield pairing can give enough support to the attacking players above them. Chelsea will want to dominate the ball and create chances, so the midfield needs to move it quickly and keep the tempo high. Estevão Willian as the number 10. Now this is genuinely exciting. Estevão Willian operating as the number 10 against Port Vale is an idea that Rosenior is apparently considering, and if it happens, it could be one of the most interesting tactical decisions of the game. Estevão is a player who arrived at Chelsea with enormous hype and who has been living up to it gradually. He has a natural relationship with Joao Pedro already, and the two of them connecting through the middle of the pitch could cause Port Vale's defense all kinds of problems. The number 10 role suits players who have creativity, vision, and the ability to find pockets of space between the lines. Estevão has all of those qualities. He is comfortable on the ball under pressure, he can play a key pass when it matters, and his movement off the ball is already quite advanced for someone of his age. If Rosenior gives him the freedom to roam and express himself in that position, this could be one of those performances that really announces Estevão as a key part of Chelsea's future. What do you think? Is the number 10 role the right home for Estevão, or do you prefer him out wide? Alejandro Garnacho. On the right wing, Garnacho has spent most of his time at Chelsea playing on the left side, which is his natural position. But with Cole Palmer and Pedro Neto potentially being rested for this game, Rosenior might ask him to switch to the right wing. This is interesting because playing on the opposite side forces a winger to cut inside onto his stronger foot more often, which can actually be quite effective against deep-sitting defenses. If Port Vale sit back and try to protect their goal, having Garnacho cutting inside from the right and arriving late into the box could create genuine danger. Garnacho is a player full of confidence and flair. He has a big personality and he plays with an edge. The question is whether he can show the consistency that Rosenior will want from him over a full 90 minutes in a match like this. Jesse Derry could make his full debut. Let us talk about the one name in this potential lineup that might raise some eyebrows. Jesse Derry is 18 years old. He has only made cameo appearances in the previous 2 rounds against Hull City and Wrexham, and now he could be handed a full start in an FA Cup quarter-final at Stamford Bridge. That is either a sign of great faith from Rosenior or a signal that the options available to him on the wings are more limited than they appear. Maybe it is a bit of both. But here is the thing about young players in cup games. Sometimes they thrive. Sometimes the occasion is too big. You never quite know until you see them out there. Derry has clearly been impressing in training for Rosenior to even consider this. At 18, playing in a quarterfinal at your home ground in front of your own supporters is a dream for any young footballer. If he gets the nod, every Chelsea fan should get behind him and give him the confidence to express himself, because moments like this are exactly what the club's model is built around. Developing young talent, trusting them, giving them stages to perform on, that is what Chelsea are trying to build. Will Derry take his chance if he gets it? What do you think? Liam Delap needs this game. Now let us be honest about Liam Delap. His debut season at Chelsea has not gone the way anyone hoped. The expectations were high when he arrived and the performances have been underwhelming. He has not managed to nail down a starting spot, and the goals have not come as consistently as they should from a striker at this level. But here is the thing about strikers. One good game, one important goal, and the whole conversation changes. This is a massive opportunity for Delap to step up and put a real performance in against League One opposition. Marc Guiu will also be hoping for a chance, but the expectation is that Delap starts as the center forward. And if he does, this could be exactly the kind of game that gets his season going in the right direction. Rosenior will want goals, obviously, but more than that, he will want to see Delap playing with energy, pressing from the front, holding the ball up, and being a constant problem for the Port Vale defense. Is this the game where Delap finally shows what he can do, or is the pressure too much for him at this point? Potential Chelsea Asemin, Sanchez, Acheampong, Fofana, Badiashile, Hato, Lavia, Esugo, Garnacho, Estevão, Derry, Delap. There it is, 7 changes from what you would expect in a league game. A lot of youth, a lot of energy, and a lot of pressure on Rosenior to get the result. If Chelsea win this comfortably and some of the younger players shine, this lineup will look like a masterstroke. If it goes wrong, the questions will start. Pochettino compares Pedro Neto to Bruno Fernandes, and the internet has thoughts. Let us shift gears now and talk about something that caused quite a reaction during the international break. Portugal played the United States in a friendly and won 2-0. Watching from the other dugout was none other than Mauricio Pochettino, who of course used to manage Chelsea before the current chapter of the club's story began. After the game, Pochettino was asked about some of the Portugal players, and he had some very generous things to say. Among them, he mentioned Pedro Neto in the same breath as Bruno Fernandes, saying that with players like Neto, Ramos, Bruno, and Felix, even a centimeter of space is enough for them to punish you. Now that is quite a statement. Bruno Fernandes has been one of the best players in the Premier League this season. He is the Manchester United captain. He has been involved in 24 goal contributions in the league alone, with 16 assists and 8 goals. He has been absolutely relentless in terms of creating chances and influencing games. Pedro Neto is a good player, a very good player on his day. But the numbers this season tell a different story when you put them side by side. Neto has contributed 5 goals and 4 assists in 29 Premier League appearances. He has created 44 chances in the league. Fernandes, in the same period, has created 90 chances. That is more than double the output. So when Pochettino draws that comparison, he is not necessarily saying they are at the same level right now. What he is saying is that Neto has that same dangerous quality, that unpredictability, that ability to do something special when you give him even a small bit of space. And that is true. When Neto is at his best, he is electric. He has pace, skill, and a directness that defenders hate dealing with. The problem is the consistency. His disciplinary record has been a talking point. He was sent off against Arsenal in a moment that really hurt Chelsea. And then during the international break, he was fortunate not to be shown a second yellow card after appearing to lash out during Portugal's friendly. That side of his game needs to improve. A player with his ability cannot afford to give away free kicks in dangerous positions or get himself sent off at critical moments. It costs the team too much, but the talent is absolutely there. Pochettino saw it, Rosenior knows it, and on his best days, Chelsea supporters see it too. The question for you now is this. Do you think Pedro Neto has what it takes to reach that level of consistency, or is he always going to be a player who gives you moments of brilliance followed by moments of frustration? Because if he can sort out the discipline and find that level of reliability, Pochettino might not be wrong about him. Denzel Dumfries could make Joao Pedro even better, and here is why now. This last section is the one that I think is most underrated in terms of how big a deal it could be for Chelsea. There has been a lot of talk about Chelsea being linked with Denzel Dumfries from Inter Milan. Reports suggest that Inter have actually offered the Dutch right back to Chelsea, which is an interesting situation in itself. Usually clubs are chasing players. Here the player is being offered to them. On the surface, you might look at this and think, do Chelsea really need a right back? They have Reece James as club captain and, when fit, one of the best right backs in Europe. Why would they spend money in that position? Well, the conversation about James is worth having. His recent hamstring injury came during a run of games where he was playing as a right back, and there is a growing feeling that James might actually be better used in central midfield, where his passing range, his reading of the game, and his ability to control tempo can be maximized. His injury record seems to improve when he plays there too, which is a significant factor. If that conversation happens in the summer and James is repositioned as a midfielder, Chelsea would need a proper right back. And that is where Dumfries becomes very interesting. But here is the really clever part of this story. The article makes a comparison that most people might have glossed over, but which is actually quite brilliant. Dumfries has played 55 games for the Netherlands alongside Memphis Depay. In those 55 games, he assisted Depay 11 different times. Now think about how Depay plays for the Netherlands. He does not operate as a pure number 9. He drops deep, he links play, he creates space for runners. That is not too different from how Joao Pedro plays for Chelsea. Pedro does not just stand on the shoulder of the last defender waiting for through balls. He drops into pockets, he combines with players like Cole Palmer and Estevao. He is a modern center forward who is as much about linking play as he is about finishing. The comparison being drawn is that Dumfries could have a similar impact on Pedro at club level as he has had on Depay internationally. To put some context around that number, the best fullback-to-striker partnership in Premier League history is considered to be Harry Kane and Heung-min Son at Tottenham. They assisted each other once every 5.1 games. Dumfries assisted Depay once every 5 games for the Netherlands. That is extraordinary. So if that relationship could be replicated at Chelsea, you are potentially talking about one of the most productive fullback and striker partnerships in the division. And when you consider that Pedro already has 18 goals and 9 assists in all competitions this season, and that he is still a young player who will only get better, the thought of adding a right back who can serve him with that kind of consistency is very exciting. There is also the quality of Dumfries himself to consider. He is not just a delivery machine from out wide. He is an experienced international who has won trophies at Inter Milan. He brings a physicality and directness to the right flank that would complement Chelsea's attacking style really well. Now, the question of whether Rosenior and the board pull the trigger on this deal depends on a lot of factors. Budget, wages, what happens with James, and whether Inter want a transfer fee or are genuinely happy to let him leave on good terms. But the logic is there. The data supports it, and the fit with what Chelsea are trying to build is hard to ignore. Do you think Chelsea should sign Denzel Dumfries? And could he be the piece that takes Joao Pedro's season to an even higher level next year, bringing it all together? So let us zoom out for a second and look at all of this as one picture. Chelsea have a cup quarterfinal on Saturday where they will send out a young, rotated team with several teenagers and players who have not had many opportunities this season. That team needs to win. It needs to win convincingly, and it needs to do it in a way that builds belief. Then you have the Pedro Neto conversation, which is really a conversation about whether Chelsea have a player who can consistently perform at the highest level. The talent is not in question, the application and discipline are, and then there is the Dumfries link, which, if it becomes reality, could be one of the most intelligent pieces of transfer business Chelsea could do. Not flashy, not the kind of signing that gets everyone excited on social media, but a smart, data-driven addition that could make their best players even better. That is what a properly run club looks like. Not just chasing big names, but finding the right fits. The players who improve the ones already there. Chelsea are still building. Rosenior is still learning this squad. There will be bumps in the road, but there are also genuine reasons to be excited about where this club is heading. Saturday is a chance to take another step forward. Let us see if they take it. What are your thoughts on everything covered today? Are you backing the rotated squad to get the job done against Port Vale? Are you excited about the prospect of Dumfries joining? And do you think Pedro Neto can reach the level Pochettino believes he can? Drop your thoughts below. The conversation is just getting started.